Went to the sessions of sweet silent thought. William Shakespeare was born on 26th April 1564 and died on 23rd April 1616. He was an English playwright, poet, and actor, widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. His extant works consist of 39 plays, 154 sonnets, two long narrative poems, and few other verses. Sonnet 30 is one of the 154 sonnets written by the English poet and playwright William Shakespeare. It was published in the quarto in 1609. It is also part of the Fair Youth portion of the Shakespeare Sonnet collection, where he writes about his affection for an unknown young man. While it is not known exactly when Sonnet 30 was written, most scholars agree that it was written between 1595 and 1600. It is written in Shakespearean form, comprising 14 lines of iambic pentameter divided into three quatrains and a couplet. Within the sonnet, the narrator spends time remembering and reflecting on sad memories of a dear friend. He grieves of his shortcomings and failures, while also remembering happier memories. The narrator uses legal metaphors throughout the sonnet to describe the sadness that he feels as he reflects on his life. Then, in the final couplet, the narrator changes his tone about the failures, as if the losses are now merely gains for himself. Went to the sessions of sweet silent thought. Went to the sessions of sweet silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new veil my dear times waste. Then can I drown an eye, unused to flow, for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and mourn expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances forgone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of fore bemoaned moan, which I knew pay as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. The major themes in Sonnet 30 are friendship, disappointment, and hope. Throughout the poem, the speaker looks back on his life and regrets his failure to achieve many things he desired for. He weeps for his friends who are no more in this world and realizes that he has wasted so much time. He also feels unhappy when he recalls the slights and insults he received in the past. However, the memory of his dear friends steal all these sorrows and still provides him hope to get along in his life. The poetic devices used in the poem are couplet. There are two constructive lines of verse in a couplet. usually in the same meter and joined by rhyme. This sonnet ends with a couplet which generally reveals the central idea of the poem. End rhyme. End rhyme is used to make the stanza melodious. For example, friend, end, night, sight, thought, sought, and flow, woe. Iambic pentameter. It is a type of a meter having 5 iambs per line. The poem follows iambic pentameter. For example, went to the sessions of sweet silent thought. Quatrain. A quatrain is a four-lined stanza followed by Persian poetry. There are three quatrains in the poem. Rhyme scheme. The poem follows the ABAB rhyme scheme in the first two stanzas, whereas the couplet follows the AA rhyme scheme. Sonnet. A sonnet is a 14-lined poem, usually written in iambic pentameter. This Shakespearean sonnet consists of three quatrains and one couplet. Literary devices used in the poem. Assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in the same line. For example, the sound of O in and heavily from woe to woe tellor, and the sound of A in but if the while I think on thee. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line. For example, the sound of G in grieve at grievances foregone and R sound in are restored and sorrows. Consonance. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line. For example, the sound of M in I summon up remembrance of things past, and the sound of T in the in went to the sessions of the sweet silent thought. It is the sound of T. Imagery. Imagery is used to make readers perceive things involving their five senses. For example, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and mourneth expense of many a vanished the sight. Personification. Personification is to give human qualities to inanimate objects. For example, in Then can I drown an eye, unused to flow, the eye is personified. Metaphor. It is a figure of speech in which an implied comparison is made between the objects different in nature. For example, for precious friends hid in death's dateless night.